The Fantasy Football Fallout Running Back Edition. We're talking about what happened in Week 1 and how does it impact Week 2. We're giving you our Fantasy Football running back waiver wire pickups. There are some guys you really need to get in on. That Week 1 waiver wire, it's probably the most important waiver transaction period of the entire season. So let's calibrate those rosters, right? Before we get rolling here, as I always do, and I will be giving away the Kick to the Crotch Award of the week, and I am going to be giving away the I'm Watching You Award. You know, who's catching our attention there. But, okay, let's talk about who was projected according to ESPN. I will be following in Week 3. I'm going to be releasing my projections as well. I just need, my algorithm needs some in-season data to calibrate. Okay, we didn't get a preseason. Give me a break here. Projected top 10 according to ESPN. Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, Alvin Kamara. Those players are in white because they also did finish in the top 10. ESPN got these correctly. Saquon Barkley, who as of the time of this recording has not played yet. I'm recording this on Sunday night. Obviously, he's playing on Monday, so did he score in the top 10? I don't know. We'll see. Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, same deal with Monday night. Kenyon Drake, James Conner, same deal with Monday night, and Joe Mixon. So ESPN's actually having a pretty good week so far. If Barkley, Henry, and Conner get in there, that's they're going to go for 8 out of 10, I think, if my quick math there is correct. Now let's see, top 10 quarterbacks in terms of actual scores. Josh Jacobs, number 1, had a fantastic week. You can always count on the Raiders to run the ball in the red zone. You got to like that. Christian McCaffrey, not really a factor in the passing game as much this week. That's a little bit of a concern with the new offense, but he pretty much took all the carries, so you don't really have to worry about workload distribution in this offensive scheme, which is a good thing. Ezekiel Elliott, Naheem Hines, he popped out. Let's talk about him a little bit later. Malcolm Brown, Raheem Mostert. People were down on Mostert because he talked holdout for about 15 minutes, and then the 49ers worked his contract situation out. Still the most explosive running back on that 49ers roster. He'll be just fine. Jerick McKinnon, he did get in the end zone, but really Raheem Mostert ran a wheel route. It was wide open in the end zone, the play right before it. And Garoppolo was looking in his direction and then just missed it. Ooh, shades of the Super Bowl. I hate to say it, 49ers fans. Missed him, but McKinnon got that touchdown. Could have very easily gone to Mostert, so I'm not really panicking. Chris Carson, another guy people were down on with some additions in the offseason. Now, Rashad Penny obviously wasn't a factor. He wasn't on the field. Carlos Hyde, I think, might have even out-carried him by 1 carry, if I remember the stats correctly. Carson was a factor in the passing game. We'll see what happens there. I'm still a buyer on Carson, or at least a believer in Carson. Alvin Kamara, Edwards-Helaire, oh my goodness, he looked fantastic. A little concerned about him, though, on the goal line. I think he's going to start giving away those goal line short yardage carries to Darrell Williams later in the year. He showed more quickness and more speed and more burst than I thought I would see. But then he showed me less power to push the pile than I thought I would see as well. Like, he ran into his offensive lineman's butt and ran backwards about 5 yards after that. So, and Dalvin Cook, he was throttled for most of the day by Green Bay. Still got in the end zone. Was still a factor in terms of fantasy football. Could have scored a lot more. He will score a lot more. Don't worry. The Green Bay Packers defense is a little underrated at this point, and they played pretty well. Let me give you my my awards this week. The first award I like to give away is the Kick to the Nuts Award, and that goes to Austin Ekeler. Now, this isn't Ekeler's fault. In fact, the Chargers, it was a positive thing to see. The Chargers were giving Ekeler the ball. They were feeding him. The disappointing thing for me is, look, the Chargers, right? And this is coming from me. I bet on the NFL. It's what I do, right? The Chargers had a massive advantage playing against Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow's essentially first NFL action. You can't simulate NFL game speed in practice. All they had to do was kick a couple field goals to win this game, right? And they just weren't moving the ball. It was like it was maddening to me. They weren't doing what they did last year. It's like the offense changed their identity. I hated what happened there. And yeah, I know you're going from Phillip Rivers to Tyrell Taylor. Tyrell Taylor's more mobile, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But you're not going to call screen passes. You're not going to dial up screen plays for your best skill player on the field. I didn't like it. I have Ekeler in my league. I started him. I'm not going to take him. I'm not going to bench him or anything like that. But I am disappointed where the Chargers, they were having trouble converting first, especially in the first half. They were having trouble moving the ball. Come on, guys. Screen passes. The Bengals, give credit to the Bengals defense. They did a very, very nice job. Played a lot better than what we saw last year in 2019. But come on, guys. I mean, it's your job. Get the ball into the hands of your best playmaker. You can do that. So that one was a little bit of a kick to the crotch. Then my I'm watching you award, and I think everybody's watching Nyheim Hines. Marlon Mack, as the news in the offseason was going, Marlon Mack was basically ahead of Jonathan Taylor comfortably in the depth chart, at least for now. As of the time of this recording, we don't know for sure, but it looks like a blown Achilles. So that sucks for Marlon Mack. For everybody who drafted Jonathan Taylor in like the first Jonathan Taylor, why am I throwing out, what is it, Simba, 1993 for crying out loud, if you even understand the reference. Look, Jonathan Taylor, if you draft him in like the third round, which a lot of people did, breathing a sigh of relief because he was going to be on the bench in a reserve role for probably the next 4 to 6 weeks. So this really gets a jump start for Jonathan Taylor and his impact on the Colts. I'm sure Taylor will be just fine. Now, Nyheim Hines, who in the Fantasy Football Almanac we called out kind of early as a candidate, thanks to we were doing some segments early in the year with Andrew Erickson, who's now with PFF, and Andrew Erickson was like, dude, with Phillip Rivers going over, Phillip Rivers likes his running backs to throw to, dump passes off. It's like, yeah, you know what, that does make a lot of sense. I started looking at Nyheim Hines, his role within Frank Reich's offensive system, and there was a lot of stuff lining up. So we were actually buyers on him. But now that Mack is out, and that's more of a two-headed running back situation, you can feel very, very comfortable. He should be on your radar. He should be early on your waiver wire list, which brings me to the waiver wires. Let's talk about my favorite waiver wire running back plays this week. Now, there's a lot of value there, and you need to prioritize correctly. The way I'm prioritizing it is as follows. Malcolm Brown is my number one, and why is that? Because all season long, he's going to split carries. That is going to be a little bit of a three-headed monster once Darrell Henderson gets on the field. But as I always say with running backs, if you draft a guy in the first few rounds and he doesn't really make an impact in that first year, and I'm talking about guys like Rashad Penny, there was the Alabama running like Trent Richardson a couple years. Like if they're not making an impact early, they very rarely make an impact in the second. Ronald Jones is another guy in Tampa Bay. I'm just not believers on guys that take 3 or 4 years when they already have draft capital to burst out. So Darrell Henderson, I'm a little bit of a seller on. We saw on the field, snap count distribution went heavily towards Malcolm Brown and Cam Akers. Cam Akers, if you read the Fantasy Football Almanac, if you catch my updates or anything like that, when I was watching film on him, he struck me more as kind of a third down running back, at least at this point in his career. More of a receptions guy, not much of a power runner. Malcolm Brown, what does he do? He's thunder. He's a thunderback. He runs. So the Rams, with them splitting carries, I think Malcolm Brown has the most secure role in being a goal line running back. And I think last year Todd Gurley scored double-digit touchdowns and Malcolm Brown scored 5 touchdowns. This is a team that will run the ball in the red zone, and Malcolm Brown is the thumper there. I think Malcolm Brown is safely going to get double-digit touchdowns this season. Is he going to split carries? Yes. Is he going to be a factor in the passing game? No. But he's going to get you touchdowns, okay? And especially if you're in a standard or in a touchdown-only league, or if you're looking for daily fantasy, just guys that you can play for touchdowns, Malcolm Brown, I think, is that guy. Nyheim Hines, a very close number 2 for me. He's going to be, especially in PPR leagues, he's going to be getting receptions all year. He got a rushing touchdown today, and he will be, receiving touchdowns from Phillip Rivers all season. James Robinson, everybody's kind of high on him. He ran okay, don't get me wrong, but I'm just not as high on James Robinson as I am on everybody else. Joshua Kelly, he really took advantage of Justin Jackson being banged up. Now, what's going to happen when Jackson comes back? Is he going to still be the second guy in that depth chart, or is Joshua Kelly running away with this opportunity? I don't know. I've been saying all season long, 2 Chargers running backs will have value in this scheme. It's either going to be Jackson or Kelly. The fact that Kelly took that opportunity in week 1 and ran with it while Jackson was on the bench, that does not bode well for Jackson and his future there, I don't think. Chase Edmonds, I saw Kenyon Drake. He was in a running boot, or a walking boot, I guess, a couple weeks ago, limping off the field at the end of the game. I think he'll be fine, but it's somebody you should be paying attention to. Adrian Peterson ran very strong for Detroit. Is that going to be a weekly thing? I don't know. I don't see why not. I mean, he knows Darrell Bevel from their days in Minnesota together, the best days of Adrian Peterson's career. If Detroit is in a close game, they will pound the rock, and Adrian Peterson can get that done. And then lastly, Jerick McKinnon, clearly overtaken Tevin Coleman in my mind as the second most featured running back on a very good running team that also throws to the running backs as well in San Francisco. So there you go. There's a full week. There's your waiver wire selections for week 2. Catch us next week, and also catch the other positions. We do every single position. So just check the playlist on Underdog TV. Thanks, everyone.